Hello everybody and welcome. I am the beta plan and this is Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York, a visual novel by draw distance. Well, we met Hope in the last episode, which left me kind of speechless in a sense, but I think that if we have the time apparently, we can look at the nosy reporter, because I do like to have, well, Sophie on our side, considering she is about the only thing that is probably keeping us from the other primogen putting their claws into our flesh, so to speak. The street lights filter into the apartment in a stark white glow, as if someone were shooting a movie outside. The art pieces display a tasteful expanse entirely fitting the image you have of Sophie. It feels as if 1,000 sins had been committed on these premises, most of them under her benevolent hospitality. Sophie comes to greet you as you enter the living room, shaking her hand. You understand that people judge me based on how you dress, don't you? Sorry, that's not entirely right. My voice isn't really up to snuff today, so I hope I can give it enough oomph, but I'm not sure. Sophie looks at your clothes as if resigned to your sartorial limitations. Try to dress inconspicuously. You know, because of the masquerade. That's very sensible of you. I suppose I should commend you for that. Sophie walks to the window and looks out, the streetlights playing on her features. She reminds you of a queen contemplating the unfortunate limitation of her subjects. You'd think that as a vampire, at least we wouldn't have to worry about the vultures of the press. Unfortunately, when you have power and ability, there are always parasites trying to feed on you. I used to have a journalist friend, actually. Then you know what they're like. Sophie steps away from the window and settles down on the sofa, a wine glass with red liquid in it. Blood, treated as not to spoil. You've become good at noticing the scent, even from a distance. She doesn't offer you any, as you cautiously sit down across from her. This awful man has been stalking my apartment with a camera. He's gone through my trash, talked to my neighbors. Please be a dear and explain to him there's nothing for him here. I'm actually going to try this. You're enjoying this, aren't you? I can see it in your face. Nonsense. Some rastan beast to stalk at me, that's all. It's just the secrecy of the masquerade is a bore sometimes. A necessary bore, but a bore nonetheless. This must have an open. After all, I mean, we live in New York. And, well, you don't get out a lot. We don't get out a lot. How do you usually deal with it? Everyone has their own way. Sometimes the problem goes away with a bit of money or sharp words. Other times, you need something more. So, I suspect these two have already been done. Do you know anything about this report? Like man, woman, young, old, anything like that? All gossip reporters look the same to me. Time for you to go. I have business to attend to. Well, that wasn't very helpful now, there was it, Sophie? You leave the apartment as Sophie disappears into another room. You don't have a clear idea of the games she plays with you. Oh, sorry, she plays with the city's mortals and immortal power structures. But she always seems to be making a move. Yeah, well, she's also playing games with me. It didn't read there, but she is. Outside on the street, there's a slight warm drizzle. The kind that gets under your clothes and makes you want to take a shower when you get back to your own haven. No reporters immediately jump out to you. For a while, it feels like nothing is happening in the New York night. People are walking past you on their way to whatever nightlight diversions help them forget their sordid lives. As you contemplate going back inside and telling Sophie you're not looking for a new career as a lookout, you suddenly notice the lens of a camera pointed at you across the street. Hey! You yell and run across the street. It's a man you're sure you've seen somewhere before. Rotund, pasty. Someone who's spent too much time in a badly ventilated room stained with cigarette smoke. You enter an alley, a dark, dingy place between two tall buildings. That seems a very familiar alley to be exact. Once upon a time, A place like this might have worried you, made you think of muggings and violence. Now it's clear that the most dangerous thing here is you. The man you are following seems to realize this too. He holds his camera in front of him like a shield. Its heavy object resting on his pouch. With a start, you recognize him. You remember the face, the shaded sunglasses from a picture next to a byline in some trashy paper. The article was about a friend of yours, an artist, who was reported to be dating a celebrity. It was true, but the celebrity didn't want to be associated with your friend and broke it off afterwards. For months, your friend cursed Doherty's name.
Hey, don't go around scaring people like that.
You're Frank Doherty. I recognize you from the thing. You're a fake reporter, right?
I'm a real reporter, damn it.
A lot of scoops here in the dirty alley?
You can't be a journalist if you're not willing to get your hands dirty.
You live here?
I'm working on a story about a local resident. Her name is Sophie Langley. Everybody knows her in high society circles. From the way you look, I'm guessing you might know her too. She's a redhead, pretty as a picture. And there were a lot of pictures of her through the years. That's the thing, in fact, look at this.
Frank pulls out a phone and starts showing you pictures. Some have been downloaded from news sites, while others are photos from the society pages of newspapers from past decades. Really, Sophie, you let yourself be photographed that much? That is actually you being at fault. All show Sophie. She has different clothes, hairstyles, makeup, names, but the face remains the same. Well, they're all odd, for sure. But other than that, I'm not sure what you've been going for.
Oh, come on, look at that face. It's always the same.
So, why does that matter?
Maybe it doesn't, but people are always interested in staying young. 3 words. Extreme plastic surgery. All the celebrities do it. Only your doctor is better than the rest.
You look critically at the photos on Frank's phone. You're thinking the world's best plastic surgeon is working out of this alley.
Okay, fine. Don't know what this is about. So how would you explain it?
Have you considered the possibilities that those pictures are a hoax?
Sure, anything can be a hoax. But I dug up those old papers from the archives myself. I got to have something usable.
Frank, I'm trying to help you here. I'm trying to give you something you can work with. Take it. Frank is clearly taken aback by the change in your tone, but he's a gossip reporter. He's used to people trying to push him.
Look, I'm a reporter. You can't bluster, but you can't hide the truth.
I'll tell you one more thing about Sophie. She's good at suing people. Do you think you can afford a lawsuit?
This job is all I have. Don't do this to me.
It's your choice. I'm not your enemy. Desist and there won't be any trouble. Frank is taken aback at the brutality of your tone. He has been intimidated many times before, but he also knows that sometimes the threats are real. This time he senses you're not kidding. He's just an aging man trying to salvage a career.
Alright, you win. Hope you and Sophie Langley have a happy life.
Deflated and hunched over, Frank drudges away from the alley. You stare at the receding figure. It's hard not to feel sorry for him. In Sophie Langley, he took on something way too powerful for a small fish like himself. Well, that was easy. So, am I gonna get something sugar for that? And don't take that the wrong way. But yeah, Sophie, I've been helping you out quite a bit, so... Kadir Al-Asmai, the sheriff of New York City, is knocking at the door to your haven. Wait, what? The sight comes as more than a little shocking. If he had business with you, you'd either expect to see him already inside, or never see him coming at all. Yet there he is, on the other side of the peephole, patiently and politely waiting for you to let him in. You carefully unlock the door and face him in silence. Even, may I come in? You simply stare at him. Your lack of an answer doesn't faze him, and your lack of resistance as he starts walking inside has obviously been interpreted as permission. Once inside, he starts looking around as you cautiously stay by the door. Haven't really had the time to make this place your own yet, have you? Feels like Langley's apartment through and through. Secluded study where nobody studies anything. Look at the books on this shelf. Obviously meant to impress guests, not to be read. They reveal nothing about their owner, aside from the aching desire to be taken seriously as an intellectual. He picks up one of them and smirks before putting it away. The phenomenology of spirit, next to all of this garbage poetry. We could make a bet. If she's read more than 20 pages, I owe you $50 and a gallon of blood. The kind of place that self-professed hermits entomb themselves into suffer. Considering how much you have to run around these nights, you probably only use it to shelter from the sun and the rest, right? Even though he's obviously making an effort to come off as non-threatening, it's impossible to forget the first impression he made. You still see him as a fierce predator, trying hard not to expose his true colors. You sense a familiar fight or flight response as you struggle to find a diplomatic answer to his questions. If Kadir is bothered by your silence, he doesn't let it show. He keeps walking around, toying with whatever catches his eye. Eventually, he speaks up again. Watch any baseball lately? If I had to guess, you strike me as a Red Sox fan. Now he's inviting you to talk in a more direct manner. You attempt to overcome your physical reaction to him and reply as casually as you can. Your mind keeps going back to that night when everything was changed forever. Waking up in a hell with a body next to you, spending a night in that underground sweatbox, unsure of what will happen next, the endless car ride, 3 strikes, a bloodthirsty crowd, that blade. A rebirth, a baptism by fire, a frightening executor who made sure the flames scarred your spirit. As you look into his face, you realize he hasn't read the emotions from yours. Not in the mood to exchange pleasantries. There's no animosity in his voice. He's just stating a fact. Let me get straight to the point then. He momentarily stops caring about his surroundings, turning all of his attention to you, and demanding the entirety of your attention in return. You see, there's something I've realized over the years. In large part, I may have been hired just to look menacing with a sword, but my job is all about seeing through bonds and relationships. The Camarilla would be safe as long as its members adhere to certain social contracts, making their dealings and affinities plain for everyone to see. But that, obviously, remains a pipe dream. This is a community of born conspirators, overly ambitious gangsters and politicians, monsters in denial, all sorts of tragically broken individuals. They are driven by desires that make them incompatible with the Masquerade, incompatible with prolonged survival of the Camarilla, incompatible with the methods I used to operate. And so I'm doomed to be like a cop, constantly insulted behind my back, maybe for a good reason, but immediately called for help whenever someone loses their tableware. Or like an Agatha Christie protagonist, outwardly assisted by everyone but consistently lied to about everyone's past and motivations. Even if my failure to solve the mystery might be the end of us all. He tries to sound like he's peacefully resigned to his fate, but it's easily to detect a tinge of regret in his voice. A voice belonging to someone who once had bigger ambitions than this. What broke him? So you see, for this detective, the that word I don't recognize. The why done it is far more important than who done it or how done it. I'm just gonna say, so you see, for this detective, the why was it done is far more important than who did it. or how they did it. When you understand all the players and their mutual obligations, you easily understand every crime. But of course the kindreds know it, so they devise ways to make my job much harder. Just like conspiracies between two unrelated actors that depend on scratching each other's backs for mutual security. Or they enforce a blood bond to make someone unexpected their thrall. A boss serving their employee, a rebel serving a tyrant. Just because one is regularly being forced to drink another's blood. What has Sophie seen in you? Why does the prince keep asking me about your actions? How come you're being pushed to build your own coteries so fast? You are surrounded by unclear motivations which you yourself don't understand. That unnerves me and should unnerve you as well. Oh, okay, so what are your motivations then? Finally, you manage to raise your voice. Kadir notices the effort and smiles softly. So you haven't gone mute since the last time I saw you. Good. Well, I'm here for a selfish reason. I need to develop a rapport with you to better fulfill my obligations. The last time we met I couldn't see you as my equal. Now that you've been accepted into the Camarilla, what choice do I have? I'd understand if you didn't want to see my face again, but I'm one of those faces of the New York community. And as long as you're part of it, it's going to be impossible to avoid me. Especially when I have business with you, and I do. As you might have guessed by now, one of my tasks is uncovering and understanding your bonds, and one of them might endanger our community. Well, that's not menacing at all. Who's he talking about? Is this Sophie? Kadir shakes his head. Sophie's fine. She's plotting something big, I know it, and she knows I know it. Sorry, wrong voice for a second there. Be she treading carefully. But she's treading carefully, as she should. No, they're not a major player. He produces a file from underneath his coat and passes it to you. This is our troublemaker. You open the file and see some printed photos. You freeze up as you recognize the face and are overwhelmed by a flood of repressed memories. My sister? Emma, the only person who kept you hanging on through all these years. The only person you have in your corner in your never-ending fight against the world. You've kept your shirt together so far, tried not to think about her until you've got everything sorted out. But seeing her face brings a lump to your throat. You look up at Kadir, expecting answers. I'll be frank. At first I thought you were a total commercial failure. Someone destined to eventually disappear from the streets of New York, without a trace or one soul to care. But it looks like your sister is the best guardian one could ask for. Lots of friends in higher places, and lots of favors to collect. The word is she'll do anything to get you back. The risk of endangering us is relatively low, but far from non-existent, which means your sister must be stopped. Oh, actually, I read that at first out like it was a general narrator sentence, because Kadir fade away, but it seems almost in these sentences that they are supposed to be of Kadir. Must be stopped sounds threatening. You dread thinking of what he's planning. I'll arrange for you two to meet tomorrow, so you can straighten the situation out and say goodbye to the life you've forsaken. He'll arrange... Wait, what? Your eyes must look like saucers right now. Usually these matters are left to my discretion, and I can't think of an easier solution. The last sheep reappears, takes care of unfinished business, and disappears. Never to be seen again. Nobody cares. It's simple, it's clean, no contrived schemes, no unnecessary victims. And it gives me an opportunity to learn more about you as I observe. When neonates interact with kind, they used to... Oh dear, their true natures are laid bare for everyone to see, you see. And I'll be watching. Of course he's invested in being kind to you. Or he's making clear his self-serving intentions so that you don't start figuring them out yourself. Any objections? And the alternatives are probably worse. You shake your head. Very well. I'll arrange a meeting and drive you there tomorrow. Better come up with a load of bull that's easy to swallow. He disappears from the apartment, leaving you as confused as the last time he closed the door on you. God damn it. You need to think it through. For a long time you sit in your haven, lost in your thoughts, trying to come up with lies that will convince the only person who's ever seen the real you. Last time you failed to resolve the situation with your stalker, you have to get a handle on that one way or another. A tapping on the window, a small prospect ASAP Tim. And Hope is about to head down to the city, accompany her and see her true face. Let's first handle this. You're in your haven when the intercom rings. Answering cautiously, you hear an older male voice. Hello? I'm calling a friend because a friend asked me to come by and offer you my services. Who's this friend? Better not talk about that on the intercom. Secrets are secrets. The man sounds strangely excited, breathing hard. Oh, okay, good. You may have the wrong address, buddy. No, wait. I know you're one of them. Please, it's alright, I don't mind. You can drink with me, if you understand what I mean. A man you've never seen before is paying you a visit to an apartment not many people know of, offering you defeat from him? I don't drink with people I've never met. Don't worry, we can meet. Silence. A minute passes as you hear a knock on the door to your haven. You cautiously open the door. A stranger looks at you sheepishly. He's in his 30s, dressed in a clean business suit. He looks moderately successful, someone you could meet at an investment bank. Now, I'm sorry. Didn't want to intrude, so that's why I called from downstairs. You know what? Come in. I was hungry anyway. The man looks comically satisfied as you usher him into your haven. He barely waits for you to close the door before he loosens the collar of his shirt, closes his eyes and bares his neck in quivering expectation. You look at the man, taken aback by your forwardness. Figuring that you didn't invite a man here for a chat, you lean closer, take him by the shoulders and sink your fangs into him. And that's not exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to talk to him and then maybe drink for him to let him forget the conversation or the questions and then usher him out. That was my idea. This is not an unpleasant way to feed. You reflect as the blood flows into your mouth. The food comes to your door of its own volition. The man moans as you drink from him, lost in ecstasy of the kiss. It feels a little unseemly, but it would be churlish to begrudge him his pleasures. Taking care not to drink too much, you let go of the man after licking his wounds closed. Suddenly you're startled by a surprise sight. A woman, not very old and strangely dressed, is looking at you intently, only an arm length away. Before you can react, the mysterious woman opens your front door and vanishes from sight, leaving you to wonder whether you really saw her at all. As you stare, confused, the man you drank from slips out of your haven and into the hallway, staggering a little from the effects of the kiss. You close your door, wondering what was that all about. At least you got the feed, if nothing else. No, man, you... That's not how I wanted to handle that situation at all. And I didn't need to feed that much. I'm gonna go to Tam. Oh, I need to rest. This whole thing... No, that felt bogus, but alright. Knock knock. You ask who's there, but you don't know if the sheriff of New York City would play along. When you open the door, you see him toying with the car keys he's holding in his hand. Ready to go, fledgling. You don't feel like it, but you give him a nod nevertheless. Excellent. Stay close. He leads you down to the vehicle he's parked nearby. Once again, he takes the wheel, literally and figuratively. Everything inside is just the way you remember it, down to the rear view mirror reflecting the intense stare of your guide. However, the trip itself feels notably different. The last time Kadir drove you around, he was forcibly dragging you away from your old life. This time, he's pulling you back into it. Let me tell you how it's going to go. As I said, I've arranged a meeting between you and your kin. It's going to take place somewhere you should know very well. I'll watch over you too, from a safe distance to make sure you adhere to the rules. You should know those very well by now. But I'll reiterate just so you can't ever say I didn't warn you. Don't do anything that would violate the Masquerade. Don't establish some secret routes of contact I will know. Do treat it as the last time you two will meet. Take this chance to wrap everything up. Here's your story. You're fine. Found yourselves at a crossroad. Decided to radically change your life and move out of the city. The subway is unbearable. The rent is too high. They've heard it all. However, you wouldn't leave for good without saying farewell to the only person who can't. He gives you a compassionate stare. It's gonna leave a scar, boy. But a true artist knows those are not something to hide, but to display with pride. You're a fresh corpse. People you meet can still leave a mark on you. One night, a long time from now, you realize you miss collecting new ones. Miss it dearly. The car makes a sudden turn. I'll leave the finer details to you. Just be so kind and don't make me regret it. You can sense he's going out of his way for you, but doesn't try to force you into gratitude by stating it plainly. If you know, you know. We'll see if you are worthy of his aid. We're here. You take a look around and recognize your destination. He was right. It is a familiar place. It's right next to that exhibition space. The one where you met your future sire. This is where you saw Emma for the last time. This is where they last saw poor Lamar. Who knows whatever might have happened to him. That's what your sister's trying to find out. I took the liberty of messaging her in your stead. She's up there, waiting for you to come and explain yourself. He turns off the engine and relaxes comfortably in his seat. You silently leave the car and head straight for the exhibition space. The elevator ride up just doesn't seem to end. After what feels like 5 hours, but in reality closer to 30 seconds, you finally reach your floor. Em is standing there, looking at the paintings. She's trying to act carefree, but is holding onto her bag a little too tightly. When she hears your footsteps, she's startled. Then she sees you, and her eyes immediately fill with tears. She runs up to you and gives you a hearty hug. God damn it, Lamar! God damn it! You stay in her arms silent for a little while. The bonds of blood run deep. This feels right. You're so cold. What happened to you? You look into her eyes and start searching your heart for a lie that would satisfy her, if only a little bit. That's not. Don't do this. If you know you're never gonna see another, and you say I love you, you're gonna leave a deeper scar than it already is. I reckon. I'm looking outside of my window, just trying to look at the sky and soul search myself for a bit, but I think that this is not the right space. In fact, if you love someone truly, I would imagine that if you understand that you're a vampire now and she is kind, and that she is, you know, threading the needle here if she might survive if you do something wrong, and you know you gotta let her go, this is gonna make the scar deeper. And if you love her, you gotta love her also to let her live and let her go. So I suddenly decided to do a little traveling, you know, see the world, figure out all of these things inside my head. You stop mid-sentence. It's perfectly obvious that you're not exactly telling the truth, and her expression makes it obvious that she knows. What happened? Lamar, talk to me. All the life-saving work she sent your way, from that concept artist job to this very exhibition. I've been losing my mind. Talked to literally everybody I know to ask when the last time they saw you was. All the time she helped you get your shit together. I've always been honest with you. The least you can do is return the favor. Oh dang. That hurts me, because I feel that honesty should be rewarded. It doesn't happen a lot in this world, I know. But I'm not very good at lies. I don't like lies. She has, and she absolutely deserves to know, but she can't. Kadir is waiting downstairs. Lamar! A voice startles you. Your first instinct is to run. And like the beast you've become, you trust it. Lamar? You can't do this. Not now. Not like this. She watches as you, kindred, an undying creature of the night, zoom away from her, run to the elevator and press the ground floor button. This might be the last time you ever see each other. At least look in the eye and force yourself to tell her one last thing. Don't search for me. For you and my own good. Really. This is the last time. She's too stunned to react as the elevator doors close. You slide down the hall, hiding your face in your arms. You find your own priorities disgusting, but what gets you down the most is not the fact that you failed to give closure to the only person you cared about. It's more that you failed to make this farewell beautiful. It makes you feel like a failure of an artist. Even with all this newfound power, you still can't express yourself through the canvas of your life. You're still stuck in your old ways. But you know Em. She'll take the pain you've caused her and use it to make art that resonates, that sells. What if authentic trauma is the best gift you could find to repay all her generosity? Jesus Christ, you're disgusting. If you consider all of those emotions commodities, no wonder you're a failure as an artist. The elevator door will open. Better run while she's still up there. And I'll unlock the words that we couldn't say achievement. Back to Kadir's car. Once you close the door, he instantly puts his foot on the gas pedal. Walking off the... Oh, sorry. Walking out the pitch with no regrets. Is that everything you had to say? Kadir sighs. Yeah. That's what I gathered from here. I'll keep an eye on the situation. Placate her somehow if she won't stop looking. I've got some well-tested methods. Not violent, of course. He gives you a good stare with the rearview mirror. You're an artist, aren't you? You nod half-heartedly. So you, of all people, should know that things never work out the way you plan. There could always be more time to plan. Tools that could help you execute it better. Perfection is just an accident. And that is a very true statement, Kadir. The only thing you can do is give it your best shot, given the circumstances, and immediately move on to the next thing. When all said is done, regret is nothing but narcissism and a waste of time. So free your coterie. These are the materials you've been given, and they're potent ones. Make the best use of them, so then they might create something more beautiful than your artist tools ever did. There's a side note. I am for you. I wish I still had someone to make my knees feel like jelly. Even when you can't see them anymore. Just knowing that they're there keeps you in touch with what you once were. The car speeds up to cross an intersection before the light turns red. You give Kadir a good, hard look. Thanks. It doesn't feel like a, how do you call it, very vampire thing to say, but you say it nevertheless. He's visibly taken aback, and his usually furrowed brow smooths out for a moment. Then he takes on a serious, slightly sorrowful expression. Don't suck up to me, kid. As the bad guy is still in here. And without a doubt, he will go back to decapitating suckers like you anytime now. The car starts slowing down. We're here. You take out the window. You look out the window and see your haven. Take care. I'll see you around. Just pray I don't have to see you too often. And with that, I think it is an excellent ending for our episode of today, when we leave the car and start walking to the haven, thinking about Kadir. You can't say you're fond of him, what with the welcome he gave you and all, but after tonight, you can say you aren't either. I thank you for watching, and remember, great peril yields great beauty.